I wanted to begin by thinking that what if we have a magic ball which tells us, all right, what is the right career? And if you reflect your minus 10 years or 20 years of your own career, given a choice, would you have changed of what you had taken as your career? And some of you, I can hear, would say yes. And some of you, you may say, oh, no, I'm not sure I would be choosing the same career which I am currently in. And I see a lot of people at the age of 35 or 40 really realize that that's not what they want to do. And the world has changed today. So in our times, and I'm using this word very casually, in our times, but I'm talking about 2 decades or decade ago as well, a lot of folks, parents never gave us a choice. We never were asked a question that, hey, what is it that you want to do? We were just given, this is the best thing for you, and just go for it. And now it's becoming more and more common where parents are saying, hey, I want to give you a choice or an option as well. So it's a difficult terrain of really predicting, because we are talking about your child, essentially, if I'm assuming he or she is in 10th or 12th, coming in the field at 2025 or 2030, in that range, really getting into the marketplace, into the corporate world, or in the business arena. And there's so today, if you see that organizations are making quarterly plans, forget yearly, 3 year, 5 years. There's a shift which has happened. And therefore, I don't think so. Career pathing is an event. It's a ongoing process, and we need to continue working on that ongoingly. And therefore, I think when you're making a decision, it's important to look at, and I'm going back to the classroom thought of what are the components of decision making. Yeah. And there are 2 components when you look at decision making: analysis and judgment. We often, judgment is nothing but we conclude, हम जल्दी से conclude कर देते हैं कि क्या हमारा career मेरे बच्चे का होना चाहिए, what should be the career option. So that's one. Are we using the domain of analysis? क्या हम सोच रहे हैं कि क्या information है, क्या available, how do I filter, मैं filter कैसे करूँ information को, and what do I do to really understand the interest? Yeah. So I think we will try and focus ke analysis. I think judgment ke liye we are very good at, but analysis, how do we work towards that arena? And that's what our effort would be in our conversation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you what are the lenses, what lenses you should make to really make those decisions. Yeah, and that will help you essentially identify how should I match between what my teen's potential versus what the availability or the opportunity is in the marketplace or in the education arena. All right. So I often look at it at different lens, and I would say for our conversation today, we will look at 4 lenses essentially. And the very first lens which comes to my mind is the mirror image. Yeah, and I'm sure some of you will agree with me. Mirror image is, can I see, am I seeing my son or daughter through their eyes, or am I seeing my son and daughter through my eyes? What am I doing? How am I seeing them? Yeah, and if I look at my option itself, I'm from a family of business, and there was no question when I was in 10th standard, my dad just put me into commerce. And if I reflect back after 10 years of my graduation, I realized, hey, that's not what I wanted to do. And if I look back, I would have been best suited for arts and psychology as a career. And you won't believe, last 2 years back, I actually picked up MA psychology as a career after so long ago. So it happens, right? Unknowingly or knowingly, we are not realizing it. Are we creating mirror images a lot of time? I was speaking to one of the parents very recently. He is an engineer himself. I want my son to be happy. That's what I want. I don't want anything else. So why don't you speak to him and understand what he wants to do? And I spoke to him, and he was giving 10th, and he was already applied for JE exams. So I asked him, hey, are you interested in engineering? And he said, no, I'm not. I said, why are you doing that? So he said, my father feels I have a potential to do engineering. That's why I'm actually applying for it. But given a choice, I want to get into media. And I went back to the father and I said that, Mr. Father, why are you asking your child to actually do engineering? Why not media? And I've just stopped the screen so that you can see me for a moment. And he turned around and told me that, hey, I wanted him to be happy. And he doesn't know what it takes to be happy. And that's why I know that engineering will take him to the happiness zone, because he will have a lot of career options after engineering. And I actually refuted with him, and it took me a while to see there was such a huge defense, because he asked me, turned around and asked me, hey, you're talking about journalism? What career options are there on the journalism? Look at the media houses. Most of the newspapers are moving into online. Where is the opportunity? And I'm sure you will see that there are a lot of us unknowingly are putting that defense. And I had to tell him that organizations, like a lot of organizations today, are moving away from graduation. And you won't believe that that's true. People are moving away from asking for graduation versus asking for skills. I'm okay with 12th standard, but what skills do you have which I can take away? As an analogy, think of a laptop. Laptop have so many features. Now organizations are asking for only one feature. I'm going to pay for that feature only. I don't want the full laptop. I just want that feature, nothing else. Yeah. So we have to really ask a question. Are we unknowingly thinking like that, where we are making sure, or we're cloning ourselves? Because this is very common. And you won't believe, I meet parents so often, and I can see they're not even realizing. It takes a lot of effort. I know one of the students I was speaking to, he used to have nervous during the exam. He used to feel nervous. And I asked him, what happens when you're giving the exam paper? You won't believe what he said. He said to me that when I'm writing a paper, and if I don't get the answer to the question, I can see my parents' face and I can feel what will they tell me about if I'm not getting a good percentage. And imagine at that point in time in the exam, he has to think about the input in the exam, not the output, which is the result. Are we so focused on the result, given that we have gone into a different era today? In spite of that, our thinking unfortunately remains very, very similar. Yeah, and I wanted to highlight this point with a lot of emphasis that is still happening, and I see that happening. So it's a quick check for all of you. So that's one lens. Yeah, I'm just talking about one of the lens. The other lens is the percentage lens, and I'm sure some of you will agree with me that the percentage determines, the pattern of the percentage determines which career you will choose. So 85 plus or 80 plus, you cannot be in science. You have to be in science, not in arts, because that gives you that platform, because you're already at 80%. If you're 60, you need to be in commerce. So I'm not saying all of you are thinking like that, but most of the parents I come across, they are having these kind of conversations and thinking really from a percentage standpoint, more than the standpoint of what the capability of the individual is. And I'm constantly looking at the chat so that I can see here you give me any information. I know what Malini said, whether the child is really interested or his obligation to follow a particular career due to parental beliefs. Absolutely, Malini, so true, right? And somehow we don't have to accept. Now, let's face the fact that we as parents are also not wanting something which is not very helpful for the kid, but we are worried, we are concerned about it. We are wanting the best to happen, and that's the frame we are coming from. It's just that, is it getting communicated in this way? Is it helping or it's not helping? That's the question we are thinking and asking about. So these are the two lenses. And the third lens I wanted to highlight, and I personally think this is, I find it very interesting, is the herd mentality or the social lens. Yeah. And you tell me a yes if you think you have seen others do it, if not yourself. Tell me a yes on the chat box. And what I'm saying here is what others are doing. I was speaking to one of the children yesterday. One of the child, she was in 10th standard, and we were discussing her assessment, and she came across pretty good in both the field, arts as well as commerce. And we had a good discussion as to how she should decide. And while parting, she asked me a very interesting question, and it really was thought provoking. She said, "Sir, I have you told me that I have an equal aptitude. Now I've got a clarity what I should do, but my friends, some of them may be joining one particular field, either arts or commerce. Can I decide based on that which side I should move into?" And it was an interesting question. Yeah. And this is the influence at the individual level, and imagine at the group level, at a parent level also. This is happening where we're thinking as to what others are doing, what is the common trend. Just to give you a perspective, last year, 2 crore children were in SSC. Yeah, I'm talking about last year's result after 2 crores. And out of that, 1.6 crores people chose science. 1.6 crore. Another perspective, there are more than 6 to 8 lakh students who take GE exams, IIT exams. There are only 6,000 seats. Every year, the graduation is plus 16 to 18 lakhs of engineers get graduated. And look at the kind of jobs they're doing. BTech, they are doing sales job. MTech, they're doing sales job. So what's happening? And there's a lot of, lot of anxiety at even after doing your engineering. Are you really successful? And success is always in quotes. Yeah. So why are you doing it? It's very important thing. Why are you doing it? Yeah. So these are the three lens, and I think just to kid around, and of course the fourth lens is, hey, ask ask the parent. I'm sure most of us are not thinking like that or doing like that. But frankly, are we taking a chance, or are you using the area of science, or is there a process to the madness? And that's what I want to focus our conversation today in thinking aloud, that is there a process to the madness? So we talked about so far these lenses, and if you have any questions. So mirror and weights, definitely not. Percentage focus, absolutely. Social lens, definitely not. What we're talking about is, what do I do to take the scientific method? And what is the scientific method? Let's briefly touch upon what's that. I know Pinky